I did ask if y'all want to watch a video. That is true. Okay, let's go and figure out how we can make our makefiles happy. So far we've created simple makefiles like this. Well, let's go ahead and type that all out in code real fast so I can show you how this evolves. Do we have makefiles? I'll call it, do we have a makefile in here? We don't? Oh. All right, makefiles. All right, we'll create a source directory and an obj directory. All right, and then we'll create source. What do we have? Simple. All right, simple.cpp. We'll call it void simple int a. Hey, it does nothing. Source another.cpp, and we'll do void another int b, and hey, look, it does nothing. Okay, great. So in our current makefile, vim makefile, if we wanted to do simple.o, which actually, hold on, depends on simple.cpp, which actually is located in the source directory. We do gcc-compile source simple.cpp, and its output should be an obj. Okay, great. And then the next one is another.o, and we'll go over here and call it another.cpp. Oh, that was bad. Inside of on top we'll have all. We depend on simple.o and another.o. In actuality, those need to have obj in front of it. Oops. And that was not the right location for that. All right, let's see if that works. Here's a directory. Did I not create it? Can't create.
Oh, you had to put something after obj.
Wow.
Tried that.
It is so picky. Another.o. All right, there. It created some stuff. Hooray. And then what else do we have? Clean. And let's pull it together. All right, good. It's G++. Like I said, I'm too used to GCC. Compiles. Ship it. All right. And sure, why not? Let's go ahead and run it afterwards. We hit make. It says undefined reference to main. Sure, let's create a main. Void. Actually, it's not void. I lied. It's int main int argc char star argv blah blah blah. Not Charizard, no. I have stream. std cout. I'm in main. Great. It's amazing. Let's go ahead and make it. Multiple definitions. Sweet. Oh. Wait, what? We probably should call it another down here. Yeah, that would be bad. Oh, we need a clean. Let's go and create a little clean real quick. rm-rf, we'll call it obj, as well as simple. Make clean, make it. No such file or directory. Somebody is lying.
Oh, you did that as rf, so I think it also deleted the directory.
All right, let's go and create that rule. There. Now I'll create them. There we go. Yeah, I'm in main. Okay, that was fun. Okay, good. And we usually have C flags. All right, fine. Let's go do the C flags. What did I do? -02? Sure. Dash optimization level 2, all warnings, and go ahead and add some debug flags to it. So we'll put in C flags.
At the end, when you said object on both simple.o and another.o,
That means it's going to depend that this file obj exists, directories or files.
okay, so it's not calling the obj bit twice.
No, it checks to see that directory exists. If it does not exist, it calls this command.
Okay, so I was thinking that might make it too.
All right, now we have some flags, and we're good to go. Let's do good old make clean again. Make, yay, we're good to go. Sweet. All right. Features we probably desire. One rule to compile every .o file. That'd probably be nice, so you don't have to write a .o rule for everything. Right? Yeah. Keep the .o files in a separate directory. We'll have to start to do that, and I'll show you more in a moment. Separate the main function from the code. That may not be too intuitive, but it does. But if we've done testing, you can't write main because that CSX test gen is going to generate its own main. So don't include your own main. Therefore, main needs to be in a separate function. And then one rule to run any test. You'd probably like that as well, wouldn't you? And so simplify our makefile and make them easier to use.
So every time we do a makefile now, you want it all to be like an OBJ file, so you don't
Yeah, but I'm also going to include a makefile for you. But yeah. I'm just trying to make sure you understand how makefiles work. That way, when you have your project and you're trying to write your own makefiles, you can do it. Make comes with built-in functions to help us create a list. Hey look, make is also a programming language in a way. The $sign wildcard is a function that will search for all files with the wildcard in it. So for example, if you wanted to create a source, a variable with all the source files, you can do something like that. There should not be a backslash there. So let's go ahead and jump over to our makefile. We'll go ahead and do whoa, that's not our makefile. There we go. And let's do it after this. So our sources equals what I have, $, wildcard, and then I think I put it in parentheses. Nope, just source star.cpp. So sources is now going to be a list of all our CPP files. So in other words, if our source directory contains arrays.cpp, arrays.hpp, node.cpp, node.hpp, main.cpp, then after this command, sources would just be source arrays, CPP, source node, CPP, and source main.cpp. AKA, it searched the source directory for all of the CPP files and made the list. All right? That's good for a list, but how do we generate a list of objects? Well, really, we just need to substitute that .cpp for the .o. Again, ignore that backslash at the beginning. And the next ones as well. That's easy. And make the percent is sometimes used instead of, wow, these slides are betraying us, star. Slides. Who wrote these things? All right. $sign sources. And then we're going to, what was the syntax? Colon src / %.cpp, and we're going to replace that with obj /%.o. You can see I don't do this very often. And are we missing something? Nope. Let's make sure my syntax is correct. It looks good. All right, so we have all the object files. In other words, given our previous generated list, objects would just be the same thing with .o instead of .cpp. Okay? So we've created a list of our object files and our source files. Next, we need to create a rule to compile each object file from the source file. Well, now things are going to look a little weird. When you use a percent in a rule, you can actually do this and it'll try and match every single rule. So it's saying that if a file is in the obj star.o format, check if a change has been made to its CPP and its HPP. So, in other words, we're going to get rid of these because we no longer need them. And we're going to say we have %.o. We first want to see if there's a change in its %.cpp or in its %.hpp. And if there has been a change, then we want to compile it, right? There we go. G++-C, C flags. Need to put that $sign right there. And you want to compile, oh, actually, hold on, we want this syntax, don't we? $sign less and $sign add. $sign less is going to be this guy, because we're compiling the CPP. The $sign less always goes to your first parameter of your dependency list. And then -o, $sign at is the rule, namely this. So it's going to substitute whatever's right here into this guy, and substitute whatever over here into this one.
So it's telling it to go to that direction.
So now if we do make, we can do a make clean. Someone is lying.
Get rid of the second dash, see? On that.
That's true, but the rule has failed me. -o, obj percent dot o. Oh, hold on. Let me get rid of this header file. I just realized. There we go. No file or directory, because we haven't included our header files yet. Oh, so let's go ahead and make our header object files, and there we go. Oh, it commented out the other rules. That's kind of funny. So let's go ahead and delete these. Okay, there we go. So now we have one rule to compile all our object files based on their CPP files. Okay? All right, that was a little fast. Are we good back there? Sure? All right, together it looks something like this. Oh yeah, we can do it in our exec thing. I haven't even showed you that. Inside your makefile, you usually want to have, hey, what do you want your executable to be? We'll call it simple, just simple. That way down here, we can create exec. And let's not compile it, but instead, we'll make our first rule be $exec, which will depend on all of our OBJ files. So if we're going to try and compile simple, first we need to make sure all the object files exist. Then we're going to go ahead and put them together. Actually, let's go ahead and use OBJS right here, and then output it to the executable. So make clean, make, and hey, look, it did again, and then we can run it, and we're good to go. So now, if I were to go inside of source and make some other file.cpp, and we'll have void I'm important int c, and then I type make, hey look, it recompiled that some other file and then put it all back together. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. For many reasons, we want main to be in a separate file. One is to help with testing, as we will soon see. To accomplish the separation of main, we need to do first pull main CPP out of our sources variable, manually include main in the file compilation, and basically update all dependencies. But to do that, we want to have main not be a part of our objects list, and we do that with what is called the filter out command inside of main. So you have first define main, the variable, and then filter it out when you create your sources. All right, so we'll do, well, first let's create main. Source simple.cpp. We're going to delete that, and then we'll create main.cpp. Include iostream. All right. So back here, we'll have main equal to source main.cpp. And then before we do the wildcard, we want to, of course, filter out, and make sure I type this correctly, $main, main from whatever in that list. Okay, so sources is not going to have main. What does that mean about OBJS? Yeah, well, it doesn't have, yeah, the main.o won't be part of OBJS as well. That's okay. Just keep that in mind. Let's see if it compiles. Well, now it's saying undefined reference to main, probably because we took it out. So let's go ahead and go down here, and let's go ahead and include main with our final compilation. And now main.cpp is included, so it can actually compile. Okay. All right. So that's how we were able to filter out one file. And the reason for this is when we start going into tests, we don't want to include our main inside the test because CSS test gen is going to generate main for us. And if you try and include main twice, it will fail. Well, it should fail. All right, new makefile looks something like this. All right, mine doesn't say array test, but I think the rest of it's the same. Yep. Hmm? I'm sorry?
Do we have an old room in our
I have an additional clean directory to help clean everything up. Yeah.
it just in the slides there's an all room which
Oh, all? Okay, so yeah, we could do that. All, make sure you compile exec and then everything from objs. Right. That just says make sure these two guys are compiled before you run. Okay, I did it. All right. Now for the CSS test gen. Hey, look, there's a lot of stuff going on. Well, let's go over to the code and maybe this will make some sense. So let's first look at our previous test file, our test code. We wrote this beforehand. Let's copy and paste that over and see if we can doctor it up. All right. So first off, I got to make sure it uses tabs, because if you don't, it won't work. There we go. We probably should also have a test file and whatnot. So let's go and kdo test. Let's go and pull that out. Testing, test, first test.cpp. We'll put that over to test, and then we'll go ahead and edit that one real quick. We're not including. We're just making sure we can get this going. So we'll just say ooh, I'm in test 1. Let's go and put a backslash in at the beginning just to make sure. All right. So, all right, how are we doing this? Well, we're including testrunner.cpp from first test. Well, you know, do I have it? It would be nice if I could just say any test. So I put %test right there. And then maybe we'll go and do, what was the command? $@ .cpp. All right, what does that do? Well, if I do make first -test, it's going to run this code right here. Well, it jumped actually to our CSS test gen. Notice, I did make first -test. Inside of makefile, it's going to match this because I say something can start with whatever but must end with test. That's what my rule is. I'm compiling first -test. It also happens to be the name of the file inside of our test directory, first -test, which is going to help make life easy for us. Because first thing I do is start setting up CSS test gen, output to the test runner, and then test forward that name, the rule that we make .cpp, so we can grab the correct test file. Now we need to make the rest of this correct, so let's go ahead and include our OBJs, which of course our test will need to depend on, and then we'll run it afterwards. So after we generate the CPP, compile the CPP with all of our object files into a test runner, and then run it afterwards. Make first -test, and there we go. It compiled all the object files, make sure they're compiled correctly. Run the CSS test gen, put them all together, whoops, on this line, then run it, and here it is where it says I'm in test 1, and then we're done. Okay? Okay. Any other comments, questions? All right, phony. So by default, all targets are files. And by targets, I mean anything over here on the left, like OBJ, test, and whatnot. Sometimes you want the rule to just be run if I do it. For example, specifically .phony, what was it? .phony colon, we have test and clean. In other words, if I were to create, well, if I didn't have this phony directive, and then I create inside of test first dash test, and I do make first dash test, the first time it would do it. The second time it, oh, I'm sorry. First time we would do it and say that doesn't make any sense, and then it would keep failing. Okay, great. Anyways, you want test phony to basically tell it, don't worry about these file names. Just go in and run this command, is what it's saying. There's a couple of instances where they'll come up later on. All right, just keep phony in there for now. That'll make a little more sense later. Wow. All right, do y'all understand how we came to this point with makefiles? I provide them for you, but if you need to edit them and add GNU plot stuff, these tools will be helpful for you. Or you can just copy and paste and keep making rules, whichever is easier. All right, because we need to get to your